Good morning, everyone. This is Sarah here with USA Supplement Company, and today I am sitting down with Corey again with Mentor, and we are going to go over a few tools that you guys can use in Symbility. Specifically, we're going over the sketching component, which is really interesting. Corey, before I started filming, we were having a discussion about how Symbility is very different from Xactimate in the sense that it's more user friendly. Is that right?
It's got some user-friendly capabilities compared to Xactimate, yeah. So when you're talking about using your hands, it's um,
Touch
you know,
screen. This works.
stability. What's that?
Touch screen. That's the word I was looking
Yes,
for.
yes. Touch screen. Symbility is enabled with touch screens, right? So you've got two features with Symbility. You've got mobile claims, which is your desktop app that you're going to write your estimates and everything. And then you've got Claims Connect, which is your online portal where you can see all of your files and more of your administrative side of things. But mobile claims, it's called mobile claims because it was designed to be used on a tablet or an iPad. So all of your sketch features you can drag with your fingers and add line items like that. So, but Symbility is very sketch heavy. You have to sketch in order to even create an estimate.
Oh, okay. So unlike Xactimate, you will always be having to sketch.
You you will always have to put something into the sketch window. You can't just create folders like Xactimate and then add line items to them and change the values manually. There is a workaround for this. It's how I probably write 75% of my estimates without sketching. And I use what's called general items bins. And we can talk about that here in a little bit, but
Yeah, very interesting. I'm trying to wrap my head around everything. So I guess the question would really be, okay, where do you start? What's this
where
one?
do you start? Yes, that is where that's probably the best place to start, right? So yeah, let's just dig in or dive in, and I'll share my screen with you. I've got a file loaded up here. Do, do, do. Um, Here we go. All right, you're seeing my screen now, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So this is what you'll see when you open up a file in Symbility, right? It's different than Xactimate it just looks 100% different, right? It looks like it was made in 1994, if you're asking, right? Um, it's old school looking. It's got this old school feel to it, but it works, right?
It's
Uh,
giving Pac-Man vibes.
yeah, exactly. So, just kind of going over what you see here, you've got this is your home screen, and this is your ribbon. They call this a ribbon, and you've got a ribbon on every screen that you'll work in Symbility, right? Um, and it's where all of your tools and your components are going to be to do everything that you want to do, right? So let's just dive in with we said we don't always have to sketch, right? But everything is drag and drop in Symbility, right? So in order for me to even create line items, the first thing I need to do is have an estimate built, right? So this is whereas in Xactimate, you are building an estimate. In Symbility, you have a claim file with diagrams, and you can have as many estimates as you want inside one claim file, right? And each one can use the same diagram that you're drawing on here. You just have to pick which one's active, right? But I've got an estimate active here, and I've got a couple diagrams already built, right? There's nothing in these diagrams, but I've got two diagrams, a roof plan and an exterior plan, right?
Okay.
So if I were to want to do a roof, right, I'm gonna select my roof plan and come over here into this sketch workspace. And in Xactimate, you've got all these cool hotkeys like F for roof, and you don't have those in Symbility. I'm gonna highlight all of the cons with the pros, right? So
Yeah.
uh,
Okay.
you've got shapes, you've got predefined shapes up here, and those are what you have to use, right? Um, so let's just go ahead and we'll start with a gable roof, right? I'm gonna select a gable roof, right? It's got two faces and a ridge. I know it's a gable, and I'm just gonna come in here, click and hold my left mouse button and drag it to a size that I want, right? Whatever I want. And this is this just looks a whole lot different than Xactimate when you sketch, right?
Yeah.
But you've got you know these gable ends look like they're slanted a little bit, but they're not. It's just the way we're looking at it, and you're looking at it in Xactimate, you're really looking at a two-dimensional drawing when you're looking at it. On here, it's more of a it's kind of more three-dimensional, right? I can view this three-dimensional from this screen right here. I don't have to go into 3D mode. I'm already always in 3D mode. Okay. So to view it differently, I've got all these tools up here, and these are our navigation tools up here, right? I've got my pan tool. It's where I can click and drag, right? My hand's closing, I can drag the whole sketch, right? And moving
Okay.
that piece of paper, not the drawing, but the piece of paper is moving, right?
Okay.
Freeform rotate is what you're probably going to use the most of, right? I can take that and I got my little hand here, and when I grab and move, I can rotate this in any direction that I want to, right? So now that I'm viewing this in a way that I don't know makes more sense to me, right? I'm looking at it from the front of the house or whatever. But
Mhm.
everything that you see is now editable, right?
Yeah.
Um, I can um, I can change all of those measurements, but I have to go back and reset my view and come in here to change them. Uh, the biggest downfall with, or not downfall, I shouldn't say, but the biggest complaint I've heard when sketching roofs, rooms, exteriors, whatever in Symbility is that there is no break tool, right? Um, if I want to, if I want to make a extension to this roof line, to this eave right here, I
Mhm.
can't just put a break and then drag that down, right? And this is extremely frustrating, right? Because I want to be able to do that, but I can't, right? So I just have to find a way to do it. And there's workarounds, right? I've got to find a different shape, and to do a little, I'm going to call it a bump out or a roof extension,
Uh,
an eave extension. I'm going to have to use a shed roof, right? So you've got those. I'm going to come up here. I know this is a shed roof because I've got three bolded lines, right? So those bolded lines are looking like my all the eaves and rakes of that flat roof, right? But that top one, that's where I'm going to merge it with the other roof, right? So it's not a flat roof, it's a shed roof, which is a little bit different than Xactimate. They're the same thing. In Xactimate, you just change the pitch. Um, so we'll grab a shed roof, and I'm going to build this off to the side a little bit
do you hold your mouse down to drag it?
to drag yes,
The
yes,
shed.
the
Okay.
shape. Yeah, I'm going to click, drag, and hold. I'm just going to build a little shape here. All right. And I see that my arrow is pointing that way. So that's telling me that my slope or my pitch is going that way, right? It's raising up towards this roof.
Okay,
So
and it shows you the pitch too. That's cool.
Yeah, it shows me the pitch. It shows me the rafter length right there. Um,
Oh, okay.
I've got the rafter length here, the rake edge. I've got my elevation right here, which is the elevation to my eave, and then my height. Now that height is going to be from this edge to this edge, right? And that's going to be determined by the pitch, right? By how steep that roof is. Now to grab it, I'm gonna connect these two roofs just to show you what it does. Notice that I've got my eave line right here and my eave line right here.
Hmm.
What do you think these dotted lines are, Sarah? You're pretty smart. What do you think those are?
Like where the wall starts from the
Yeah,
east.
yeah, right. Where your wall is or your soffits, right? That's your soffit distance, and we can change that as well. But if I'm hovering over that and it's got those crosshairs, I can move it. And I'm just gonna grab that roof and I'm gonna bring it right up to that roof. And notice it snaps to that eave line. So if I'm
Okay.
eave to eave,
It has that similar like snap that you have.
absolutely it's gonna like
Yeah.
pull it to it like a magnet, right?
Okay, cool.
If I put it just like that, it's gonna connect that roof, right? I've got eave to eave, it's gonna connect the soffit lines, and I've got one roof now, right? When I go up here to my freeform rotate,
Corey, I have a very important question. Probably the
yeah.
most. Where's that undo button?
Ah, the undo button. Yes. Right here, this little back
Oh,
arrow. Yeah, it looks like the back arrow on your Roku remote, right? And
yeah.
it
And
and
do
it
you know if
just
there's a certain amount of times that you
you
can put it?
can do that as many times as you want. It's not
Oh,
so exactly
how
many.
many? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Now, as long as like you haven't done a different task, right? It's not going to remember what you did yesterday if you just opened it up today, right? But it's going to remember everything that you've done. Uh, but you can see one thing I like about when we're sketching here, and I've got this 3D view. It shows me my walls, my elevations, all that stuff, right? Shows me where everything's at. Um, it shows that everything's connecting properly, right? I don't have some weird line right here that they're not connected. But so that's one way to connect those two roofs, right? But I can pull that roof off of there. And then if I drag it, let's say I want to bring it in a little bit farther. I'm going to bring this roof up here, right? And I can drop it in just like that. Now that looks a little bit crazy. All right,
Yeah.
let's view it in let's view it in 3D. So it looks a little crazy because it's the same pitch, right? Uh,
Yeah.
and they're just merging together, right? So it's really not. I really haven't done anything but just extend this little lip right here. But
So
if
is that
I
an issue?
go ahead,
Is
was
that
that?
an issue? So like when you're doing measurements, say like if that's the metal part of the roof or something, is it going to disrupt the measurements
Yeah,
because that's overlapping?
yeah.
You're
Something's
getting to
not
that? Okay.
something's not looking right, right? So it's not. These don't. If everything is connected correctly, everything's gonna mesh right. But I've got this little overlap here, and the problem is I've got the same pitch. All right, it's a 612 and a 612, so I'm just like sitting a roof on top of another roof. If I go
Okay.
ahead and change that to 7, I'll just make it 812.
How did you right click that when
I
you
just
did?
clicked on that 812 one time and it brings it up. And I
Okay.
can then change with these arrows. I'm changing the slope, right? Um, and these arrows will be on every measurement that you have inside this sketch. If it's a measurement like this 28 foot 11, these small arrows would increase or decrease that number by 1 inch, and the larger arrow would increase or decrease by 1 foot, right? Uh,
Okay.
and you can type your numbers in as well, but the buttons make it a little bit easier. Uh, but notice I changed that pitch to an 812, right? So it made it a little bit steeper, um, and it pushed that roof. Now that roof is below that other roof because I couldn't ever physically join an 812 roof down into a 612 roof, right? They would just not mesh. But now when I look at this again and freeform rotate, you can see that it created that whole roof right underneath it, that roof, right? So depending on where I place things and how, you know, it's all just about where you place them, right? It's hard to really explain that without um, just showing you examples. But it makes it harder, right? It makes it harder than Exactmate, because with Exactmate I could have just used my brake tool, done that, and now I've got to go in here and I've got to make all these changes to this one roof just to get it to sit on top of this other roof, right?
Yeah.
Let's say I want to build, this is it was a room addition where they came off of this ridge and created a low slope um, room coming off the top, right? It's a 2-story house. I don't know. I'm putting this right up there on that ridge, but
Mm-hmm.
I changed my pitch to a low slope. All right.
Mm-hmm.
When I've got this going in here, now
Yeah.
see it looks correct, right? Notice also this bold black line where I connected the roof.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's bolder than everything else.
It's showing like where the ridge connects, or like,
If I'm connecting a roof to another roof and I don't get that bold black line where it connects, it's not connected properly. All right. That's a visual indicator in Symbility that your roof is connected properly in a way where it should be. Right.
thanks everyone for watching. If you found this tutorial helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment below, and subscribe to our channel for more great content. Also note that we've got some exciting Symbility courses coming up soon, so be sure to check out the link in the description for more details and sign up. Stay tuned and we'll see you in the next video.